everybody has your food and can settle in on this lovely rainy day and enjoy this event. We're so happy to have you here. We're happy to have all of this here. We're very lucky. Thank you. Enjoy today. Hi everyone. I'll talk for a few minutes while we settle in. I'm Megan. I'm the Executive Director of One Book, One New Orleans. I'll tell you a little bit about what we do, and then I'll tell you a little bit about why we're here today, and then I'll turn it over to someone else. So we're One Book, One New Orleans. One of our partners, first and foremost, is the New Orleans Public Library, and Robin Goldblum, who just welcomed you, has been so instrumental in making this event happen. We would not be here in this beautiful space coming together in community without Robin's work. Robin, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you also to our beautiful volunteers, Shelby and Rachel, who volunteer without signing up to volunteer every single time we see them. Thank you, Shelby and Rachel, who are over there serving food. Thank you to a couple of our board members for being here, Latoya Taylor and Liz Granite. And now I'll tell you about who we are. One Book, One New Orleans each year chooses one book, and we encourage everyone in the city to read the same book at the same time, with the idea that we'll grow stronger as a community by sharing a reading experience. But when we do that, we have to recognize that a lot of adults in our community struggle with access to books, whether they're having trouble reading, whether they might not be able to afford books, there's not a library in their neighborhood, they're incarcerated, in some way they're struggling. So we've got to break down those barriers that make people struggle to access books. One of the ways we do that is to develop a curriculum around the book. And we give the book and the curriculum free of charge to adult ed programs. And adults across the city are using the book to learn to read. And one of those programs is YMCA Adult Education. We'll hear about them a little bit later. We also have a series of free family-friendly events that bring everyone in our community together. This is the last one. It's an annual event now here at the New Orleans Public Library in December, and it is quite possibly the event that warms my heart the most. Because what we do at this December event is folks who got the book and the curriculum and have been using it to learn to read have written pieces inspired by the book. And this is where we launch the collection of their work and really get to see that book, when it gets put into people's hands, come to life and take on a new life of its own. So what is that book, you ask, for 2023? That book is The One Who Don't Say They Love You by Maurice Carlos Ruffin, who is in the house today, y'all. Give it up for Maurice. And the epigraph of that book, which is that little piece of writing that's not written by the author, but usually by somebody else that comes before it, is a saying by Ellis Marcellus. And Ellis Marcellus writes, "In New Orleans, culture doesn't come down from on high. It bubbles up from the street." So inspired by that quote, which is the epigraph to Maurice's book, folks from YMCA Adult Education wrote pieces for this collection called Up from the Street. And here to introduce them and their work is Amy Leggett. Woo! On the wire side, yes.
Hey everyone, thank you for being here today to support the work of our amazing adult learners, many of whom are here today, published authors, mostly willing to share their work out loud. We'll see how it goes. But my name's Amy. I'm the director of YMCA Educational Services. Our main operations are upstairs on the 3rd floor, where we have an adult learning center. We welcome folks from beginning literacy all the way to, we just celebrated graduation, winter graduation a couple days ago, people who got their high-set credential. We also have classes in Metairie and on the West Bank as well, but you can find us upstairs and we'll get you where you need to go to get the services you need. We are so incredibly proud of our folks who are featured in this book. And what I love is that they're all so clearly very proud of themselves and eager, mostly eager to share. I know it's really scary. I'm scared right now, y'all, so you can do it. And I just want to say, like, there's one thing that makes me feel like a mean teacher, and it's asking somebody to sit down and write. There's nothing scarier than a blank sheet of paper for many of our students. But whenever they were asked, share your stories about growing up in New Orleans, it just all came out, and so you'll get to experience that with them today. So without further ado, is anybody ready? Lachey, do you want to come up and read your story? I don't want to interrupt your meal, but we're so ready. All right, everybody, so here's our first author, Miss Lachey Agé. And she's going to come up and read her story. Should I say what page it's on maybe? Mary?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see the book so I can let people know where Lachey is? So Lachey.
Page 9.
Oh. Yeah, so this is Lachey's story that she wrote on page 9 of Up From the Street. Come on, Lachey. Woo!
Lachey age in on it is people dancing, people playing, playful, playing, I play guitar and piano. I like the saints. We get together and eat food on Sunday. I like Grandpa Boy and Chinese food and went to a few festivals and crafts festivals and venues festivals, and I think over by the river when I like crawfish boil.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Brendlin, you want to? You look ready. Yeah, you look ready. Watch out for the wire. It's got to get over the wire. There we go.
Good afternoon. My name is Brendlin Dolio. I lived in the 7th Ward coming up. I'm a mixture of all kinds of people, all colors, all nationality. When I was coming up, Mardi Gras, which they call Fat Tuesday, my mother made a big thing out of getting to the Zulu parade. Okay, with my thing. All right. When I was about 6 or 7 years of age, 7 years, I remember my mother used to take us to the Zulu parade on Mardi Gras. We would go up, we would get up early in the morning. At the time, we lived in the 7th Ward. Back in the early 50s, that's telling my age, my neighborhood was a mixture of people, black, wife, and we had a German lady living in the neighborhood. We walked from Turo Street to Claiborne. Claiborne, we did not have I-10 running down it. There was great big oak trees lined up all the way down to Claiborne and Melfamine, now called Martin Luther King. Our way down to the Zulu parade, we saw bone men with real bones from the butcher shop. We would see Indians in full costume. Also, we see second line band by my mother would get us some candy apples on the stick. We were not able to eat it, so my mother would bite into the cut apple to get us started. Back in the 50s, the Zulu organization was not organized. You may see a Zulu float and not see another one for a while. If you were lucky, you may catch a coconut. Not a painted up coconut, one just an old plain coconut. Not like the fancy ones you see today. Catching a coconut is a really serious thing in the Zulu. Now people come from all over the world just to the Zulu parade to catch a coconut. My story.
I just wanted to mention we're very fortunate that Brendlin was here today because she is our world traveler. So Brendlin is like in Africa, cruising in Jamaica. Where else are you going? South Africa too, right? Johannesburg? Yeah, she's all over the place. And yet, she still keeps up with all her coursework that her teacher Mary here shares with her. So she's our student of the month too. So, yay, Brendlin! So it looks like Miss Raquel McGee is ready. You want to come around the wire this way? Or the ramp?
Going a long way. Gotta walk a mile, not what?
There you go.
Okay. So Raquel, what page is your story on?
My name is Raquel McGee, and I will be reading about my grandfather, Ernie Kittle.
It's on page 20.
Page 20 also. I'm reading about my grandfather. Excuse me. Thank you. It says what New Orleans culture means to me. When I was 5 years old, when my grandmother got married to my grandfather named Ernie Cato. He was a jazz artist and a bunk owner with his wife, Antoinette Cato. The name of the bar is Mother Love Lounge. As I was growing up, I used to hear all kind of jazz, at the bars when all the bands would come together. My grandfather and his band and some of his friends would go around New Orleans and different cities like New York at the Apollo and over the world. Me and my grandfather used to walk around New Orleans and talk about music and life issues. My favorite thing was to sing with him and the band, even though my singing was not really good. It's true. But I love spending time with him. And I love seeing his fans come together and sing and dance to music. After some years later, he passed away in July 5th, 2001, but his music still live on today.
Amen.
It looks like Mr. Daryl Reyes is ready. Daryl. All right, Mr. Daryl. I hope that y'all all ate lots of food because Daryl's story is full of food. So, like all the food.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Daryl Reyes, and this is about when I was growing up. Growing up in New Orleans, I remember when I was small, my grandfather, by dad's side, took all his grandchildren and his children to the parades in the back of his big 68 truck, Ford F-1600. We went in the truck parade. We was in the truck parade. We brought up around pigs, hogs, chicken. My grandfather had a little farm. My grandmother showed me how to wring a chicken neck. She loved it, though. She loved to cook. She had a little family, big family, 13 of them boys and girls. She used to hang receipts up on the wall for taxes. When we were small, we picked blackberries. While she could make pies and when she made gumbo with chicken gizzard, chicken necks, smoked sausages, and hot sausages, by bay leaf, shrimps, and crabs. She even made okra gumbo black. Back then, we lived off the land. Snapping, turtles, rabbits. We lived in Jefferson Parish, which was in the country. Back then.
It's real country, Daryl.
Yeah, back then. I didn't know I had all this much, but I was full when it was going on, because the door opened up in my heart and the things just started fluttering. You know. We made turtle soup, some smothered rabbit. I remember when Popeye's chicken was throwed the doubloon from Mardi Gras, and we could exchange them for two free pieces of chicken. Y'all remember that? When they were throwing the doubloon to you.
That's a deal.
Them days you lose your fingers. I just like them real coconuts. Now they're not real no more. They're just an empty shell. Back in the days, they had the coconut in it, the milk, and then the coconut was still had them. Okay. We talked about people getting their finger busted. Okay. I was there, but you know, trying to get the balloons. Okay, well, ha ha. My mother cooked a lot of stuff from scratch. She cooked a lot from scratch. Cabbage, okay, greens, green beans, black. Back in those days when we used to be a fruit truck. Remember a fruit truck back in them days? And a vegetative truck. They seem that sell vegetables straight from the garden. Then they had another truck called the Ragman truck.
You remember that?
Sell all our stuff.
Yeah, shaking that little bell, Ragman. Okay, well, man. He picked up rags, old clothing, etc. Yeah. And when I was growing up, we used to catch catfish in the ditch. And blackberries were my auntie used to pay us to pick blackberries so she can make pies with it. I'm working. Hey, and come back broke. Using those was the days back then. We used to ride on the train from Salisbury to the Huey Bridge. We jumped off before we got to the ramp. Everyone looked out for each other. It was like a village. If someone did not have it, somebody else would. One time I had cooked it a big bunch of navy beans, put some baby shrimps, pigtails, okeries, and barley, bay leaf, onions, garlic, parsley in the pot. And I gave it to my neighbor with 4 children. My family,
The security lady.
the security lady, okay.
Tell us about the security.
I played football pool with it was delicious also. Just don't tell my wife though.
What about the security lady?
No. Oh, she knows the security lady. Okay. We had a potluck at our family reunion. Everyone brought a different dish. It all depends on what time of year it is. Some brought catfish, crawfish, some brought crab, even when had oysters on the grill. Red beans and jambalaya dish, dirty rice that comes with chicken gizzard. Okay. Chopped up in small pieces. I remember Miss Betty made crawfish bit. Crawfish bit made from the crawfish tail meat. You put them in the crawfish head, broil or bake even.
Bake 'em.
Bake
All
'em.
Bake 'em.
Bake 'em. Salted, stuffed crab, even stuffed stuffed bell peppers. Y'all read along with me now. I won't go there. That was bubbling up from the street, and it was my perspective. I hope,
Yes,
I hope y'all enjoy.
She worked for the water board security.
Who's Miss Betty? I mean, who's all these ladies?
Betty used to be a lady that my daddy knew, and that was she made.
So you cut up the tail meat and then
Yeah,
you
you cut
stuff
up-
it back
Yeah.
in
You
Never had crawfish
This-
there?
this-
You never had crawfish there? My man, those are good.
No. I mean, my daddy was a crawfisher, so I should have, you know.
They clean them out. They clean
Clean
them
your
out.
head
No,
out.
And then you do it.
no, that can stay off my street. Yep. All right, I don't know how we follow that, but I still see Donald and Daniel. Yeah, Daniel, you ready? Yeah. Yeah, come on. This is Mr. Daniel Bonnie. He's been on our program for a while. He's just about to start taking his high set exams this year. Plans to graduate in May. Woo! Excellent writer. All right.
Yay, Daniel.
Daniel, what page are you on so people can follow you?
I'm on page 11. My name is Daniel Bonnie, and this is my story from the quote, New Orleans culture don't come down from on high, it bubbles up from the street. Being from New Orleans, I've seen cultivated things happen here, and it can all come from one person or a group of people that turned it into something we do and enjoy today. So it became a tradition we celebrate today. There are so many things here to enjoy in New Orleans, like festivals, music, food, dance, our parade of Indians, and so on. And all that started from somewhere on the streets, from one person or a group of people, having fun or hustling, using their talents on the streets sometimes to make money. It's so interesting to see. It captivates tourists from all over the United States, or maybe even the world. Still until this day, the culture in New Orleans catches the attention and inspires people that visit the city because it's fun and there's a lot to enjoy here. Even our accent, people love to hear it.
We're gonna need a copy that.
No, we're gonna have them stand up there and take pictures after like the reading.
All right, we have one more reader for us.
Donald!
Donald for- Come on, Donald.
Hey, how y'all doing? I'm Donald Clark, and I'm reading about growing up in New Orleans.
What page is your story on there? 12.
Growing up in New Orleans, when I was around 10 years old, my friends and I were very adventurous kids. We grew up in one of the most dangerous housing projects, the Calio. I remember coming home from school one afternoon, walking into the courtyard, and a man was lying on the sidewalk, and one of his legs had been shot off. All I saw was shattered bones, flesh, and blood. It was a horrible sight to see. I've seen my share of homicide victims. It seemed as if someone was killed every week. To get away from all that, my friends and I would ride our bikes to other parts of town. I liked it when we would go on Bourbon Street to tap dance. We would go to clubs and ask for bottle caps. We also used little nails from the hardware store. We'll push the nails through the bottle cap, 2 for each shoe. One on the toe and one on the heel of the shoe. Then we would find a cardboard box for the tourists to throw money in. We would tap dance for hours. I enjoyed the atmosphere, the music, food, street performers, and the people from all over the world. I must admit, we wasn't the nicest of kids. Sometimes we would ride around different neighborhoods and pick random people to gang up on. I remember a time we jumped this one guy. I stomped him and broke his arm. But it was no fun when the tables turned and we were the ones getting ganged up on. When I think about it, it wasn't easy growing up in New Orleans. You had to be tough, able to hold your own. I guess at the end of the day, it was all about respect, and I demanded mine.
I don't even know what to say. You all are the bravest people I know. It takes so much courage to get up and tell your story to a group of people you've never seen before. And someone who knows how much courage it takes to write and put down their story is Maurice Carlos Ruffin. And we're going to invite him up to say hello. The man who inspired the writing, y'all, Maurice Ruffin, who brings his own soundtrack wherever he goes.
You know who that is, right? That's Ernie Cato. I'm so happy to see y'all up in here. Look, I'm not going to read anything. I just wanted to come up here and just tell you, I'm so impressed by what I've seen today. Writing a story is never an easy thing to do. And I come from a tradition that taught me that knowledge is power. I'm a graduate of McDonald 35. That was the first public African-American high school in the city of New Orleans, founded in 1917. In that school, I was always taught history. The smart people. Look, there you go. I was taught history, I was taught civics, I was taught the past. Jerome Duck Smith, he would hang out like in the area and talk about like the activist era and that kind of stuff. And what it comes down to is you gotta tell your own stories. You can't let somebody else tell your stories for you. So I just wanna say that I know that telling stories can be difficult, but you know, look, I'm a God-fearing person. I love the Lord, and I know that there you go. And so I know that when you have a belief in yourself and this ability to tell stories, you can do it. So With that being said, keep doing what you're doing. Because when you tell your stories and when you learn how to read better and learn how to write better, it makes everybody in the community's lives so much stronger, so much better. Because we have our mouth, we have our hands, and we have our brains, and we have our hearts. And my heart is so full right now. So thank you all so much for being a part of this, and just keep on going. Believe in yourself. Love you.
And I'm enriched by yours. Oh, thank you, thank you.
See how much taller he is than me? So that concludes the formal part of this event. But you know that since you're published authors, what comes next? Signing, yes. We've got plenty of pens for all of our writers. So grab a pen. We're going to be signing books. And for all of you who are here, please feel free to take a copy of Up From the Streets, read it, enjoy it, share it with your family and friends. Thank you all for being a part of One Book, One New Orleans. I'll tell you already to mark your calendars for January 6th and 7th. We are spending that weekend collecting books to build a library in the new LGBTQ plus senior center. And then on January 17th, we'll be kicking off the brand new book for the year, which we'll tell you what that is on December 18th in 2 days. So thank you, Maurice. Thank you, YMCA. Thank you, library. Thank you, volunteers. Thank you to Tubby and Coos who helped print this book. And we'll see you next year. I'm going to get off the stage before I start crying.